Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Norf, I am from London, and in this video we're going to cover off my favourite 5 things to make sure that you look great on your video conference call. So if you're ready, let's get started. It doesn't matter whether you're in sales or marketing or engineering, video conferencing is here to stay. It's not just a case of turning the camera on and shouting at your laptop. There are so many subtle things that you need to consider to ensure that you're trustworthy and you come across as credible. So the first of my top tips is to ensure that you're framed correctly. This is the sort of framing that I'm talking about. In the industry, we call this an MCU, or a medium close-up. So I'm cut off just around chest height and there's a little bit of headroom that you can see. Natural framing, if you will. Why is framing important on any video call? You have to convey 2 things. They're both non-verbal. The first one is eye contact. You've got to make sure you've got great eye contact. The other thing is body language. Both of those effectively are termed non-verbal communication. Opening your camera affords you the opportunity for establishing eye contact and seeing body language. Eye contact on your video conference call is super important. Now, it doesn't matter what platform you're using. It could be Zoom, it could be Webex, it could be Teams, but you've got to make sure that you're staring straight down the barrel of the camera. Eye contact portrays things like confidence, trust, and engagement. Now, in this situation, I'm actually using a proper mirrorless camera, so the lens is relatively large. But on a laptop, it's not particularly large. So a top tip for me is to use either a post-it note or a sticky note, turn it upside down, get a pen, write across the top of it, look here, with 2 massive arrows pointing down to the camera. Once you've done that, post it to the top side of your lid. If you're anything like me, perish the thought of sticking anything onto your screen. Ensure when on your video conference call you are staring straight through the lens and it effectively looks like I am looking at you or you are looking at me. It is super important to maintain eye contact for as long as you can when you're on your video conf call. As I mentioned earlier, it portrays things like trust and credibility. I think it's okay to look away if you're writing something down, for example, but where you can, ensure that you are focused on that tiny little lens, because the person at the other end is going to need that eye contact to keep trust and credibility levels nice and high. Like you, I've been on many conference calls and I've seen some absolute howlers when it comes to Zoom don'ts. So I'm going to give you my 4 favourite online video conference call Zoom don'ts. This is what not to do. Disclaimer: some viewers may find the following scenes disturbing, but accurate. I will not be held responsible for any nightmares you may have from watching this footage. The reenactments that you'll see next, I have seen with my own 4 eyes. This one I call the sink. It's where someone is on a video conference call and they simply sink slowly into their chair. What does that portray for you? Firstly, it doesn't portray engagement. It certainly portrays disengagement. It also potentially tells you, is your content boring? Or, actually, your content is so good, I can't stay awake. The second of my video conf call don'ts, I call the broadside. It's where the person isn't looking at the camera or their webcam is off to one side. They're actually looking at their second screen, but the webcam is off to one side. Therefore, the view is the side of their face. Clearly, no eye contact can be made, no trust can be built if you're looking at the side of someone's face. So, let's not do the broadside. Another one of my favourite online conf call don'ts is what I call the upshot, where you're looking straight up the nostrils of the person that you're talking to. Whew, not a great sight. And then finally, the 4th of my online conf call don'ts is what I call the forehead. Get the picture? So for me, when we're on conf calls, let's avoid the sink, the broadside, the upshot, and the forehead. Nobody needs to see any of those. I'll post a video just up here of 5 ways that you can get yourself ready for a successful online meeting. When you're not speaking and somebody else in your video conf call is speaking, simply look at the picture of the person or the people that are on your conf call. Also offer things like non-verbal cues, like nodding for example, to show engagement, that you're listening and you understand. It doesn't really matter what online platform you're using for your video conference calls, but sometimes it can be a real distraction to be looking at yourself in that tiny little view. On Webex and on Zoom, it is possible to hide that small self view. So in Zoom, you need to right-click your video to display the menu, then simply choose Hide Myself. To restore your self view, simply right-click on any visible user's display to show the menu, or click on the 3 dots here, and then select Show Myself. It's a little bit different in Webex. You've got to make sure that you're on the latest version to have this option. Before any meeting, simply select Don't Mirror My Video in the Preview window. If you're in a meeting, in your self-view video, select Video Options, Don't Mirror My Video to stop showing the video of yourself. Unfortunately, at the time of posting this video, it's not possible to hide your self-view if you use Teams. So one of the things you can do is to take another sticky note and post it over your picture. You don't necessarily have to do that. I'm not a fan of putting anything sticky on my screens, so I wouldn't do that. For me, I would just try to focus on other people rather than looking at myself in that tiny little self-view window. Just remember, if you hide your self-view, be sure not to do anything that's embarrassing. Top tip number 4 is just simply to be consistent. Whatever setup you choose to have on whatever platform you are using, ensure consistency. Each time you do this, you will improve, even if it's by 1%. And then my 5th and final top tip is simply to wear a smile. Smiles are so warm and they are so disarming. I wouldn't suggest that you grin like a axe-wielding homicidal maniac. That's probably not a great idea, but certainly wear a really nice warm smile. I cannot recommend that enough. And that's it for this week. I hope you found this video useful. Obviously about looking good on any online video conf call platform, but also to convey trust and credibility. So we looked at framing, ensure that you are framed just like this, a medium close-up or a natural framing, so people can see your eyes, your face, and they can see your hands if you gesticulate. We had a look at body language and eye contact and why non-verbal communication is so important on online conf calls. We had a look at some conf call don'ts, the sink, the broadside, the upshot, and the forehead. Let's avoid all of those at all costs. We looked at being consistent. Each time you do it, you will get 1% better. And then finally, one of my favorites, just wearing a smile, not a grin, a smile. I'm really curious to know some of your conf call don'ts. Please leave those and any questions in the comments section below. Please also like and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Also remember to hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on when I upload new content to the channel. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.